Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another deck profile. 2 weeks in a row now, you've seen the mono blue SS3 deck that my Patreon and friend James has built. Shout out to him for letting me profile a deck. He put a lot of work into it, and it's really strong. For a 50 card blue deck, who would have thought that this type of mono blue strategy, mono color strategy really, would be so strong? It's a really strong deck. We're going to talk about it in today's video. Guys, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss a video. If you want to help the channel out, there are many free ways to do that in this trying time. You can subscribe, you can like the video, share the video, maybe watch an ad. If you want to buy the cards you see in today's video, make sure to use my link in the description to TCG Player. Those are all very free ways to help. With that being said, we're going to get right into this video. So we're talking about Reboot SS3. Many people looked at this leader and kind of joked it off, laughed it off, said it wasn't ever going to be anything. And it's not quite as powerful as old SS3 was, but if it was as powerful as that or stronger, it would obviously probably deserve a spot on the ban list. And this leader is very strong. I mean, people laughed off things like Toa, people laughed off other leaders that didn't draw cards, and they ended up being very powerful. This leader is also very strong. So permanent on both sides. You can only have up to 6 energy, same restriction as the old SS3. Now on the unawakened side, auto, choose 1 card from your hand and place it at the bottom of your deck. When this card attacks, choose 1 card in your life and place it in your energy area in rest mode. So really interesting thing about this, so it basically costs you a card from your hand to ramp in energy, but at the same time you're self-awakening. And what's really cool about this is, let's say you just don't charge for turn. You don't charge for turn, you attack with your leader, you do the effect. Now you've basically charged for turn because it costs you the same card from your hand that you would have spent charging, and you got self-awaken. So you can actually think about that in that way. You can charge and self-awaken at the same time without having to ramp if you're in the certain matchup where your hand might be taxed a bit. Like, that's a really cool way to actually deal with hand control, where you can just attack, use the ability, and you're basically charging for turn, but you're self-awakening at the same time. So really cool thing there. Awaken at 4 or less, draw 1. Now Heighten Evolution SS3 Son Goku returns, same restriction of 6 energy. Auto, when this card attacks, draw 1, and this card gains 5,000 power for duration of the turn. They kind of foresaw that your hand would be a bit small here, so they give you the added 5,000 power. That's always really good. Auto, at the end of your turn, choose up 3 of your mono blue energy and switch them to active mode. This is one of the popular requests that people had for how to errata or potentially fix this leader. So it's pretty cool that they're going to go with that here, and it works out really well. I mean, this could definitely be blue-red, it could definitely be blue-yellow, but this mono blue list, I think mono blue is some of the strongest standalone cards that make it really eligible to be a strong monocolor deck, probably more so than like red, yellow, or green in my personal opinion. So let's go down through the deck profile here. So all your standard stuff, 4 Bean, 4 Super Combo, of course you're playing them, 4 Dimension Magic, and 4 Dirty Burst. So at the time of the gameplay, you guys saw where I was playing against James with my 2 different decks, he was only playing 2 Dirty Bursts, I believe, but he's bumped it up to 4 for several reasons. There are many cards in this format that are of 7 or higher. Think about Gogeta 7, think about the Super 17 successor, think about Cell Xeno, and Fu Shrouded, which is actually the card I used to beat him in the last gameplay video. That this card stops all those problems. So before, where mono blue didn't really have an answer to Fu Shrouded, only really yellow kind of did, this deck now has an answer to that card, and it's really powerful. So this is the standard lineup for the deck. Works out really well. Next up, we're looking at some of our utility options. We have 2 Desperate Measures. Now, we've talked about this, James and I, we've talked about playing Absolute Release Ball instead of Desperate Measures. There are a few pros and cons to each. So the thing with Absolute Release Ball is it counters the play of a 3 or less, where Desperate Measures only counters the play of a 2 or less. But with Absolute Release Ball, you do have to be at 4 life. So while your leader does self-awaken, some matchups like Piccolo, like U7 Invoker, they might stall you out while they're going for their Victory Strike win con or their hand control win con. So sometimes being at that 4 or less life can be a little hard, but not always. But the main thing about it is you're not really playing multicolors in the deck, so Absolute Release Ball can never truly be free. But the cool thing about Release Ball is that it will untap the energy you use for it. So even though you're not a multicolor deck, even though you don't have that type of utility, it's still basically a Whis Coercion and a counterplay if you think about it that way. But Desperate Measures is really cool because it gives you a lot of flexibility in regards to reusing some of your battle cards. Like some of the ones we have here, Uneasy Lion Son Goku, you get to reuse the negate. East Kai Keeping Watch, you get to replay a cantrip if the situation calls for it. And there are other cards in the deck this works with as well. So it's really good in that regard. So it could be either or. If you want to play your SPR Release Balls, that can definitely be good. If you want to play Desperate Measures, I think that's good as well. For Ultra Instinct, Goku's Kamehameha, this card is literally perfect for this deck. So activate battle if the leader card is blue, choose up to one of your leader cards or battle cards, gets plus 15,000 for the battle. Auto if all your energy is blue, which it will always be, guaranteed. When you activate this card, choose one if it's your turn, draw one if it's your opponent's turn, choose one of your blue energy and switch to active mode. This card is just perfect for the deck. Mono blue. You're always gonna have the blue energy, no black cards in the deck either, so there's no shot of like charging a black card from your energy. From your life, it's just not gonna happen. And this card gives you a huge defensive reach when your hand is a bit smaller, so excellent card. 2 Uneasy Alliance Son Goku. This is just for more negates. Basically, this deck is full of 2-for-1s or sometimes even 3-for-1s where you're using energy to play a card and you're stopping multiple attacks. So Uneasy Alliance Son Goku is great for that. 2 energy, negate an attack, and you have tons of free energy in the deck once you're awakened, and then balance another 3 or less. Really, really good. Isekai Keeping Watch. This is a card that James is personally just a really big fan of. He's always played it in blue decks when we've been testing, and honestly, it's really, really great. I'm surprised more people don't play it. So auto when you play this card, draw 1. Auto during your turn when your opponent plays a battle card, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and places it at the bottom of their deck. This is going to happen all the time. Your opponent's going to play battle cards during your turn all the time. Arrivals, counterplays, things like Topo Righteous Aid, other negates with bodies. This is always going to happen, so this card really is excellent. Next up, some more interruption stuff. Dispo Sonic Subversion, a new card from Draft Box 5. Auto, return this card to the owner's hand, then choose 1 card in your life, add it to your hand. When your opponent plays a battle card with energy cost greater than the current energy, choose that card and return it to their hand. Again, we just talked about cards that are affected by effects like this. Super 17 Successor, Cell Xeno are just 2 that come to mind. This card is really good. When this card's removed from the battle area by an opponent's skill or KO'd, draw 1. So the thing with the auto is if your opponent has like an enter play effect that removes the dispo, his auto won't be able to go off because you're not able to pay the cost or resolve the effect. But nice thing is, if they do remove him, you still get added benefit from his removal by drawing, so that's really good. Frieza Undying Emperor, this card's actually really, really strong. If you guys noticed in the Demigod gameplay, this card actually stops both of my Poutine and Gravies from hitting the board, and that's awesome because this is one of the few counterplays with bodies that has the effect in the counterplay text itself. So certain things like that where you're playing multiple cards in one effect, this card hits all of them, which is really strong. For UI Goku the Unstoppable, it is getting reprinted in the summer, luckily, so that's really awesome. This is going to be a cheaper, more affordable card soon, but I think the price has dipped down quite a bit since it was at the $100 to $80 range, probably around the $60, $50 range at this point. Hit Deadly Vanguard. This card really gives this deck life. So it is a counterplay. If the battle card being played is energy cost 5 or less, it's returned to the owner's hand instead of being played. Permanent during your opponent's turn, this becomes a 3-drop. Permanent, this card can't be returned to your hand by your skills. And then 1 more auto, because why not? When you play this card, choose to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 5 or less and return it to the owner's hand. So for a 3 energy counterplay, you get to bounce 2 5-drops back to your opponent's hand, one of which gets returned instead of being played, so that card does not get any enter play effects, which is very, very powerful. So as we're going on through the deck list here, we've got 4 Android 18 Never-Ending Energy. This is your main source of draw. Yeah, there are some matchups where you will suffer in hand size. Actually, what's interesting is if you're getting aggroed, you're actually going to have a pretty full hand, but you're not really going to be able to have ramped. But in those matchups that you are ramping and suffering a bit on hand size, Android 18 Never-Ending Energy is the perfect card for the deck. Resolving this on turn 2 is pretty insane. That's like one of the main reasons you can do that in androids with the set 2 leader. Using this on turn 2 in SS3, if you get the attacks off in the right way, you're able to drop that on turn 2. For Obuni After Image Slash, it's probably the best blue battle card right now. Can't be stopped by counterplays. Gives you 3 15k beaters and untaps more energy every turn. So there are turns where you can play this, look at your opponent's top deck. If it's a battle card, you literally spent 0 energy to play Obuni because you'll untap 4 going back into their turn. So that's pretty nuts. Son Goku Path to the Infinite. This is a new addition. This wasn't in the deck when James and I recorded the gameplay, but this card is excellent. Activate main, pay a blue if your leader card is blue, and you choose one of your blue battle cards with an energy cost of 4 and return it to the owner's hand. Play this card from your hand. In this deck, this is Legendary Flute, for those of you guys that remember that card. For practically 0 energy investment, because your leader untaps free energy, you get to recycle Obuni and at the same time give yourself a 20k beat stick. That's just actually insane. Like, reusing Obuni and getting more tokens, more beat sticks, and more value, it's just too good. Next up, guys, we're gonna go to the side deck, but I do want to give a quick word from today's video sponsor, Arcana Legends. Huge shout out to this video sponsor, Arcana Legends. Brand new trading card game coming out, created by people within the Dragon Ball Super community. A few cool things this game is doing: they have an inventory system. The inventory is your deck, but instead of drawing a random card per turn, you get to choose a card from your deck to add to your hand. That eliminates a lot of the variance issues we experience in card games and adds a ton of strategy. This is really the dream of a competitive card game player. Remove the variance, add more strategy. What more could you ask for? Another really cool thing this game is doing, they're allowing you to buy products, sealed product, cards, other accessories directly from them at arcanalegends.com. So really cool thing there. They're eliminating a lot of the problems with secondary markets, and this game is being tested by one of my friends and teammates, so I know it's being handled with care. arcanalegends.com, definitely check them out. All right, guys, now wrapping up this video with the side deck. So these are side deck ideas that James had. They could definitely be anything depending on your local meta or your online meta, as you guys are playing online in the quarantine. We'll go over James's choices though. 3, Protector of the People. I'm a big fan of this card. James is a big fan of this card. It's basically a negate that gives you an additional sensu bean. You pitch a card, and then every time your leader is attacked by a battle card, you get to give your leader, actually it works for battle cards as well, you get to give the card being attacked an additional 5k, which is just so good against, especially against going wide decks. Like Demigod, for example, we hate sensu bean, and we hate this card too because it really stops go wide strategies. 2 more Dispo and 2 more Uneasy Alliance Son Goku, just for when you need them. These cards are very powerful in their respective scenarios, so having more copies in the side deck is really good. Awe-inspiring Intimidator SSB Vegito for those counterplay weak decks, the decks that aren't really playing counterplays, especially against Demigra. You're able to get to this on that turn 3 as long as you can survive, and with things like Protector of the People, with things like Ultra Instinct Kamehameha, you're able to get there. This card is a very big hurdle for aggro decks like that to overcome. Ultra Instinct Sign Son Goku. James does not main deck this card. There are certain matchups where this card is very good. Decks that are negate light, decks that are going pretty wide on the board, but against a lot of the meta, it kind of does hurt to tax your hand and set up a very specific combo. But against the decks that this card is really good against, it's incredibly powerful. And then 2, Barrier of Hope, just when you need the removal. The additional draw power is nice as well, and you're tapping 3 for it, and then you're getting 3 energy back on your opponent's turn, so it's almost like a free draw 2 bounce 1 card. So guys, this is the deck overall. It's a very fun deck, very powerful deck, especially for monocolor. I'm gonna have James monitoring the comments down here, so you guys have any questions, make sure to drop them. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys next time.